Rome, Italy, 2023. In the heart of this ancient city, a story unfolded that blurred the lines between modern science and age-old belief. It centered on Elena, a bright 22-year-old university student with a promising future. Her life, once filled with lectures, friends, and the simple joys of youth, was about to descend into a darkness that defied explanation. It began subtly, as most unsettling things do. Elena started experiencing vivid, terrifying night terrors. She'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, with no memory of what she'd dreamed, only a lingering feeling of absolute dread. Her roommates initially dismissed it as stress from her final exams, but the incidents grew more frequent, more intense. Soon, the night terrors gave way to sleepwalking. One evening, her roommate found her standing motionless in the kitchen, staring at a blank wall, her eyes wide open but completely vacant. When her roommate called her name, Elena turned slowly, her expression cold and unfamiliar, before snapping back to herself with a gasp, confused and disoriented. The episodes escalated. Friends reported sudden, unprovoked outbursts of rage. During one argument over something trivial, Elena's voice dropped several octaves, becoming guttural and harsh. She spoke in a language no one present could identify, her words filled with a venom that made them recoil. Moments later, she was back to her normal self, with no recollection of the event, only a splitting headache and a profound sense of exhaustion. Her physical health began to deteriorate. She lost weight rapidly. Dark circles perpetually ringed her eyes, and an unnatural pallor clung to her skin. Worried for her well-being, her family admitted her to one of Rome's leading hospitals. The initial diagnosis was a severe nervous breakdown, brought on by extreme stress. She was placed under psychiatric observation, her every move monitored. What the medical staff witnessed, however, was far beyond the scope of any known psychological disorder. Nurses documented Elena speaking fluently in multiple languages, including ancient Latin and Aramaic languages she had never studied. During one evaluation, she began reciting intricate details about the private lives of the doctors present, things she could not possibly have known, secrets buried deep in their pasts. Her calm, academic demeanor would vanish in an instant, replaced by a sneering, malevolent personality that referred to itself in the plural as we. The physical manifestations were equally alarming. At times, this petite young woman exhibited a strength that was frankly impossible. On several occasions, it took 4 male orderlies to restrain her during violent episodes where she would thrash and contort her body into unnatural positions. Her vital signs would fluctuate wildly without any medical cause. One doctor noted in his report, "Her heart rate will spike to 200 beats per minute while she lies perfectly still, then plummet to dangerously low levels. Physiologically, it makes no sense." The hospital became a place of hushed whispers and frightened glances. Experienced professionals, who had seen every manner of human suffering, were left shaken and unable to offer a logical explanation. The standard treatments for psychosis and dissociative identity disorder had no effect. If anything, they seemed to agitate her further, as weeks turned into a month with no improvement. Elena's devoutly Catholic family, feeling they had exhausted all medical options, made a controversial decision. They reached out to the diocese, pleading for help. After a careful and lengthy review of the medical evidence and first-hand accounts, the church granted permission for a formal rite of exorcism. This was not a decision taken lightly. In the 21st century, such measures are exceptionally rare, reserved for cases where all other explanations have been ruled out. A small, sterile room in a discreet wing of the hospital was prepared. The arrangement was unprecedented. The exorcism would be conducted by an experienced priest, Father Matteo, while a team of medical professionals monitored Elena's vital signs from an adjacent room, observing through a one-way mirror. They were there to ensure her physical safety and to document the process from a scientific standpoint. The sessions began. The room was sparse, containing only a bed, a chair, and a small table with a crucifix and holy water. As Father Matteo began the prayers, the change in Elena was immediate and violent. Her body went rigid. A deep, rasping voice, entirely unlike her own, erupted from her, mocking the priest, spewing blasphemies and threats. The room temperature plummeted, a phenomenon registered by the sensitive medical equipment. The monitors in the next room went haywire. The EKG machine showed a chaotic rhythm. The EEG registered brain activity patterns never before seen, and the audio recorder captured multiple distinct voices speaking over one another, all seemingly coming from Elena. Father Matteo remained steadfast. his voice calm but firm as he continued the rite. He addressed the entity directly, demanding its name, commanding it to leave in the name of God. The struggle was palpable. The air crackled with a tension that even the skeptical doctors behind the glass could feel. For weeks, this spiritual battle raged. Each session left Elena physically drained, her body covered in bruises and scratches that appeared without any physical cause. Father Matteo himself grew gaunt, the strain of the ordeal etched on his face. The medical team watched, their scientific objectivity challenged by what they were witnessing. They could measure the physiological changes in Elena's body, but they couldn't explain the cause. They recorded the voices, the temperature drops, the impossible knowledge, but it all added up to a conclusion that their training had taught them to dismiss. They were observers in a war fought on a plane of existence their textbooks had never described. They were witnessing a clash between faith and a darkness that seemed ancient and profoundly intelligent. The entity tormenting Elena was cunning, using her memories and fears as weapons against the priest, trying to break his resolve. Then, one afternoon during the 9th session, something shifted. As Father Matteo recited a particularly powerful prayer, Elena's body arched violently off the bed. A harrowing, unearthly shriek filled the room, a sound of pure agony and rage that made the observers flinch. The lights in the wing flickered and died. The medical monitors flatlined simultaneously. For a long, terrifying moment, there was only darkness and the echo of that terrible scream. Then, silence. When the emergency lights flickered on a few seconds later, they revealed Elena collapsed on the bed, breathing deeply and peacefully, as if in a deep sleep. Father Matteo, exhausted but resolute, stood over her, finishing the final prayers of the rite. The oppressive atmosphere in the room was gone, replaced by a profound sense of calm. Elena slept for nearly 18 hours. When she finally awoke, she was herself again. The coldness in her eyes was gone, replaced by a gentle, bewildered light. She had no memory of the past 3 months, only fragmented nightmares and a feeling of having been lost in a deep, suffocating fog. The medical team ran a full battery of tests. Physically and psychologically, she was declared perfectly healthy. The sudden, complete recovery was as medically inexplicable as the illness itself. The case was officially closed, the records sealed. Elena returned to her life, picking up the pieces and moving forward, forever changed by an experience she couldn't remember.